two really good friends of mine who have done so much on their own right and have their own accomplishments and tremendous resumes and have done a lot of education and onboarding. And they're going to be talking about how to carve out long-term success through the power of music NFTs. Please welcome NiftySax and Fifi Rong to the stage.
All right. Well, good to have a room full of people here. So our talk mostly is for musicians that would like to make music NFTs because we have done it for a while. So why the hell are we here? So I've been making music NFTs now full-time for almost 2 years. And so music NFTs have not been around for so long, so we're not going to have any secret sauce, but we have learned some things that work, some things that don't, and we are here to share this stuff with you. What about you?
I'm Fifi Rong, and I've been in the space for about 14, 15 months. The mark of me coming into the space was the time I met you, met NiftySax, and we started to do the space, and we are still doing the weekly space about music NFT. And back then, there wasn't really a music NFT, a regular thing, right? There wasn't a space for that. And I found several artists here and there, and I thought, there's no community for music NFT, so why don't we start doing this space? Because I wanted to learn, and I just went along with, had a great ride and made friends and all that. And by far, I already sold in collaboration for over $100,000 of music NFT, and then the big collection hasn't come out yet. And Nifty here has started Nifty Music, co-founded Nifty Music, and you can talk about your achievement. But I do want to do a survey of the room because the topic is is aiming at artists. So shall we do a survey first?
Oh, at least let's raise some hands. Are there music NFT artists in the room?
Music NFT
One,
artist.
two, three.
One. Okay. So we need to know who are we talking to.
Maybe there are some collectors. Do you own music NFTs? All right.
Right. So, because we want to actually deliver some value to you. So if you're not a collector, you don't know what this is, then we are not going to talk as if you are an artist, right? Maybe by the end of it, we can make you feel interested in collecting music NFT. Right.
Yeah. So we have two different backgrounds. I was making a good living as a musician, but in relative anonymity because I was playing jazz. I'm a saxophone player. I was playing in a whole bunch of other bands, but I was doing all right. But I didn't really feel like an artist, so I was missing that part because I released a few jazz albums and a few things here and there. But I didn't really feel like I could find an audience until NFTs. And also, I wasn't making that much money. Since NFTs, I've been able to sell instrumental music, which is not easy to sell in Web 2. And I sold more than $100,000 of music in a year and a half or something like that. So that's pretty incredible. And Fifi here has a different story. She's very established in Web 2. And maybe you want to mention what's been your journey in Web 3?
In Web3, the bottom line as an artist, a creative artist, is I'm happier. In a lot of talks, I always come back to that point. For why does it matter for an artist? Doesn't matter which web you're in. Being happy is so important because that's the foundation for you to freely create and have a long-term health, mental health, psychological, and of course you need the money to sustain your creativity, and also you don't want to be in a space where you feel the psychological pressure is killing you. So in Web 2, we're talking about millions, 10 million, over 10 million artists are releasing music. So this invisible, almost like invisible competition is always out there. So you always think this is not enough. And the people who are deemed to be successful and not successful, they're always grinding. They're always climbing this thing. And so mental health is a common problem within the Web2 artists. So for me, I have got a lot happier, and I feel I'm growing up in a way. I'm returning to my alignment, and because I feel free. And when say money become less of a problem, and I'm more creative, it's a less saturated place in music NFT. And also I'm helping people. We've been helping onboarding people since day one. So it's just a much happier space to be as a human being.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, creative freedom is a big one, and of course financial freedom, which has been possible for both of us thanks to Web3. So let's talk about a few things that we've learned, because also with Nifty Music that I co-founded with Wei here, we have helped some musicians make really big collections, and our artists so far have traded like 300 or 400 ETH worth of music NFTs, which is a lot. And for any independent artist to make something like $150,000 in a year is a great relief. Like finally, I can actually make some money with my music. So what works? First of all, it takes some patience. Don't expect to just come out with some music NFTs and they're gonna sell just because they're NFTs. So it takes time and it takes involvement in the community, because it is still a small community. So what we've seen that works the best is having a good story, like finding out who you want to be, and then really going forward with that. Like I was the sax guy when I started. No, there was nobody else. Nobody else was the sax guy. So it was easy. Oh, that's the sax guy. Yeah, that's NiftySax. Okay, that's music NFTs. So that was very easy for me. And although I do many other different things as a composer, music director, other stuff, I was okay. I'm just gonna be the sax guy, because that's where I feel most comfortable, and that really worked for me. So we have found that also when we bring artists to Nifty Music and they want to release with us, so we ask them, who are you? Like, who do you want to be? Because you're gonna push that, so you better love it. If you don't love it, you're really gonna be miserable. Don't be the person that makes music that they don't like, because here you don't have to make the music that pleases an algorithm. You make the music that pleases you, and then you find the people that like what you're doing, that like you. So having this one identity, that really works. So being laser focused into one thing, that really, really is what gets you started. Then the second step is having a story. So figure out a way to tell your story. So why should people invest in you? Because NFTs are also an investment. They're a way to crowdfund, but also to get a digital asset out of it. It's not just giving you money on PayPal. They're actually buying something from you. They get something. So this is very important. What's your story? Why the hell should people buy your NFTs, which are much more expensive than your music on Bandcamp? Why are they spending more? So that's one thing that is very important. Do you want to talk more about that? All right, sorry, put you on the spot.
I think the notion here is, I start with the fine art music, right? What I mean by that is that Nifty here, he's saying individuality is highly valued in this space. So by fine art, it's not the opposite. It's the opposite to cookie cutter music, as I previously mentioned. On Spotify or TikTok, you are in a competition of how do I grab the most people in this 15 seconds, right? And how do I get onto this playlist or that playlist? And then that invisibly is putting you in a prison to make music towards a certain type of music. So you'll not freely be who you are. But in Web3, we have the freedom to highly value the more obscure, the more yourself, the more aligned you are with your art, the more valued it is. So then the collectors, if you are to become a collector or the artist to release music in Web3, and this is a great thing because you are having the truth from this artist and you can buy into this person's journey for the long term.
Yeah, and this is what we've seen also that really, really helps, like to have an idea of who you're talking to. Because if you want to be the king of the DJs, then you're gonna have a certain agenda, a certain way that you're gonna talk about your stuff. But if you're not really interested in being the king of the DJs, maybe you want to talk with fine art collectors, then you're not gonna have all of the buzzwords and all the stuff that everyone talks about. You're gonna talk about your music in a different way. So we have identified some profiles of collectors. This is also a big shout out to QEii with Nifty Music. We have seen that there's about 5 different people that collect music. And it's very important for long-term success. And again, long-term is when you love what you're doing, because this is a grind, and if you don't love it, you're gonna quit. We've seen so many people quit just because they picked maybe a lane that was not for them. So we have identified these people. So let's go through them. So first one is the patron. So this is a person that doesn't even need Web3. They just want to support you. So to these people, you're not even gonna mention like profits or utility or other weird stuff. You're just gonna talk about the fact that they can support you. This is your new way that you can be supported, and that's all they care about. So if you are surrounded by patrons, because maybe you have had a career in Web2, maybe through Patreon or something like that, then you can bring these people in like that. You can say, this is a better way for me. So, and that's it. That's the end of the story. Then there's the degen. The degen actually wants to know, what's your story? Like, let me see your floor price. Let me see your track record of sales. Can you sell NFTs? Can you sell to people that don't even like your music? Can you like, are you a good salesperson? You know, that's what they want to know. And so that's, if that's what you want to do, that's your lane. That's how you should shape your speech, because you're gonna sell this stuff whether you like it or not. You're gonna sell it somewhere, probably on Twitter Spaces. So the way you talk about it is very important. If you're selling to degens, then it's very important that your story matches, because if you have bullshit, like the degens can smell it a mile away. So if you didn't make any sales and you're talking about profits, you're not gonna be in a good place. So that's one thing. Then there's a collector. The collector really likes collecting things. You know, they like to own a cool thing that is only their own. So to them, they don't care about the profits, and maybe they don't even care about supporting you, because they don't care about you so much, but they like the fact that they can get something unique. So if you're talking to collectors, you're going to stress the fact that your collection has rarity traits. If you don't even have rarity traits, don't even talk to collectors, because they don't care. If they all get the same token and they all look the same, they're not gonna care. So this is another lane that you can pick if that's where you want to go. And there are different types of collectors, of course. There are more the fine art collectors that really like the one-of-one type of stuff, which is a separate lane altogether, because that's more like you create a personal relationship with these people. It's more like you are speaking to them directly on Telegram or something. You don't even find them on Twitter. So that's a whole other thing. What do we have else? What other collectors are there?
Influencer.
The influencer, right? So the influencer it's a whole other type of collector. Again, it's a person that wants to tell your story to their audience, because they feel cool by sharing your story. They found you maybe on Twitter, and now they want to share your story to their own audience. What's in it for them? Well, they look cool because they found something cool. So to them, the only thing that matters is your story. If you have a really, really interesting story, then they will want to share it with their own audience. And so they will buy into your project just to say to their audience, hey, look what I found. I invested in this artist, and I was one of the first people to find them, and this makes me look cool. And so this is a different path. You can see, like, if you're talking to degens, it's a completely different thing if you're talking to collectors or to influencers. So for long-term success, it's important to actually figure out who do you want to be, who do you want to talk to, because you will have a relationship with your collectors no matter what. And if you don't like it, then you are more inclined to quit. And I'm telling you, we've seen it a lot. People quit just because they feel like, oh, this is not for me. I don't like the people I'm surrounded with. And so they just end up quitting.
Yeah, just on the basis of that, I want to just come back to how this shows that in Web3, you have more choices. As an artist, you have more choices to identify what kind of path I want to take as an artist. In Web2, there's not so many choices. You kind of have to make your character to become a certain way, to do the thing that has to be done to keep going. So it's a very linear thing. But over here, we already identify all different types of collectors, different types of audiences. So to know who you are and who you're talking to, that also ensures your long-term happiness and success, hence success.
Yeah, and now we go to what it takes, because now that, let's say, you identified who you are, who you want to talk to, now there's another big point is, do I have the time to do this? Because it is a grind, it really is. And it is as much of a grind as trying to make it in Web 2. It's just that it's more rewarding here for the reasons that we talked about before, like financial freedom and creative freedom. But it is a grind, and it does take involvement in the community to get some success. Because if you just make the NFTs and don't talk about them, nobody's gonna find them. There's no place. We do Twitter Spaces a lot, and people always ask us at the beginning, where do I mint a music NFT? And it doesn't really matter at all, because there's no place as of right now that will help you to be discovered. So discoverability is going to be very big in the future if people crack the right algorithm that is going to be fair and actually interesting for the collector. Then that's going to be a different story. But right now there is no discoverability. So you have to really be present in the community. You have to devote some time. So usually for our Nifty music artists, we tell them, do you have at least time for a part-time job in this, like 20 hours a week? Can you spare 20 hours? Because if you can, then okay, we can do something. If you have 40 hours, like a full-time job, that's better. So if that's not something that you want to spend 40 hours on, then this is not your lane. Then you can maybe do something else, because it does take a lot of time.
Yeah, and also, it does take time. I think 20 hours is very conservative. It needs to be 40 plus focus hour. And a lot of us come into the space, we all experience a sense of obsession, addiction, that we are totally obsessed into this community. And then we get through the burnout, and then we neutralize a little bit. And also, okay.
No, yeah, let's see. I mean, we don't have any mics for the audience, but if there are any questions, of course, we are super happy to take any questions. This is a great question. So, for the people at home, let's say, so the question is if we distribute the music also in Web 2. So there are two different schools of thought here, and I have my own opinion, which I will tell you now. So my opinion is that the ideal way to do things is that you release first in Web 3, you give a chance to your collectors to get the music. So once everything is sold out, everything is said and done, okay, now let's go. Let's go together to Web 2, we put it out, and we bring more value to the collectors. Because if my track that is sold out in Web 3 becomes a hit in Web 2, that's a great advantage for my collectors that own that track. So that's why I do it that way. First Web 3 and then Web 2. Then the other school of thought is I'm going to put my music behind a wall, and I'm going to just do it in Web 3. If you want to listen to it, it's going to be only in Web 3, which is also fine. If you want to do it that way, that's totally fine. But in my opinion, the strides effect is a thing. So when you try to hide something on the internet, it resurfaces everywhere. That's how it works. So in my opinion, it's better to just let the people have the music for free, and then you have them pay for the extras. So the idea is free to listen and expensive to own. So yeah, my music is everywhere on Spotify and YouTube. You can just Google NiftySax and you will find it. And I'm happy about that, because my collectors want to listen to it in their car. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. Like, oh, now I want to have a Web3 music player. I don't really care. Spotify works great. It doesn't pay me, but who cares? I make money on Web3. So that's how I see it.
And also to add, there is another circumstances where if in your catalog you have a lot of music, but then there is something you already released a while ago, but that means so much to you. And then that goes back to the story. People care about why this is precious to you. Why is this, so important, and you want to make this as an NFT and to make it rare for people to own. And you can create value around it. The thing not to do is to just make all your back catalog that's already released into NFT, and then that just comes across as a cash grab, and that's not going to work.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Is there any other question? Yeah, good question. Where do we find the most value in the online communities? So, as was said before here in many other panels, Twitter is where right now all of the collectors hang out. So we focus our efforts on Twitter. So like I was saying before, being focused into something is better in the end. Of course, you miss out on a few hits here and there. Like maybe you would have found 2 collectors on Instagram, but if you're actually focused on Twitter, then we have found it's better. So that's my experience so far.
So I think something really interesting I wanted to mention earlier is that once you identify what kind of artist you are and what kind of collector you are going to have conversation with, then you can do your own research. And that was the step 1 what we talked about. And recently I have the conversation with someone who does classical music. And then he thought, I have 8 months. I really wanted to sell these things. And he decided to do a one-of-one. So he went out to connect with a lot of one-of-one fine art collectors, and in the end he sold nearly $1 million of NFT. So that means you can do the Degen type of a big community, kind of like an NFT, PFP type of a community, and you can do the fine art community, but the identification and knowing who you are comes first.
Yeah, that's super important, and it brings me to the last collector type that I didn't talk about before, which is the fan. So the fan is already there, so you actually don't have to engage them in any particular place. So if your fans are on Facebook, then just stay on Facebook. If your fans are already buying all of your stuff, you don't even need to engage the Web3 audience. We have seen this happen. There are some platforms that don't really engage with the Web3 community, but they are able to sell a lot of NFTs because they don't even say they're NFTs. It's just digital collectibles or whatever. So yeah, for us in Web3, Twitter is the best. But again, if you have a fan base somewhere else, then stay there. It's fine.
That's the top-down model, right? Like with a bigger artist who's got millions of fans, and then that is a great thing to onboard people into NFT without telling them this is NFT. But what we've been talking about is the grassroots movement.
Yeah, the timer here keeps going up, but so,
I think we passed.
Yeah, we probably passed. We can take maybe one more. Okay, let's take one more question. Yeah. So the question is, what have we learned? What's the best first step maybe for an artist? Or? Yeah, sure.
From my personal experience, find myself the right company. I think it's important because a lot of people fall into some kind of scam or some kind of rug. So finding your own tribe is very important. And by that, I mean, you can come to Twitter space and you would vibe with a certain type of people, and so make friends, because these things are very technical and dry. Money is not a good motivator, but people is. And it's a kind of cliche. People always say community make you stay, and this is exactly why.
Yeah, and another thing that I can offer is, like, I've made these mistakes myself. So for example, the first mistake is coming out with your best work ever, like, oh, I'm gonna put this on the blockchain, let's go, nobody knows me and I'm gonna put it right, like, and then basically you're stuck, because the very nature of the NFT is that once you minted it, you can't like go and mint it everywhere else, so you basically rugged yourself. So you have to have some patience. So the best thing is to create something brand new just for the blockchain. So you hang around in Twitter spaces, meet some people, see where they hang out, and then try to mint something, make some mistakes, but don't make mistakes with your best stuff.
And a lot of people, artists, they take forever. They think, this is my first job, it has to be perfect. And then that becomes a procrastination's best excuse. And then they don't ever release anything. So our experience is create something new that is okay to let go. And you can detach from it and then just start.
Yeah. And one thing to mention is that if you're seeing people selling for like hundreds of thousands of dollars, it's tempting to think, oh, my music is also worth that much, which is true, absolutely. To make a piece of music that people actually want to listen to, it's a great accomplishment. It's very difficult. It takes years of practice. So it is true that it's worth a lot, but it's also important initially to be humble. So that's why I was saying start by creating something fresh, so you don't feel attached to it, like, okay, I'm just going to write a song today and record it, whatever. And put it out and sell it for maybe $100, $150, 0.05 or whatever you're thinking. And then start from there, because if you have a track record of sales, it is easier for other collectors to jump into your project, because they see, oh, this guy actually has sold some music, so let me see what else they got for sale. So
I wasn't going to show, but I think Nifty Music Academy is a good step to take, because we have started kind of like a group 10-week program to help artists from new, if you are new, to show you the right step to take to avoid possible mistakes.
Yeah, this goes for everyone. If you want to start in music NFTs, go to niftymusic.app. You can apply there. We'll reach out via email. And yeah, we have some collections minting right now on Nifty Music, so you can see what we're doing. But so far, apparently, it works. So we are happy to share what we have learned. And we had the first group of 15 artists, and that was a super cool experience, because it was such a collaborative environment. Because usually it feels a little bit cutthroat, like, oh, this guy made a sale and I didn't. But in this environment, you feel like you want everyone to make sales, because the more people make sales, the more eyes are onto your own project, because they're all in the same kind of ecosystem. So it's been very, very positive.
Have you mentioned the accomplishment of Nifty Music, how much collectively we've sold?
Yeah, we said it before, I don't know, I kind of lost count. You can check, everything is on the blockchain, but it's probably around 400 ETH right now.
Yeah, it would be bad taste to brag about numbers, but then this just shows you that Nifty Music has figured out a way to make it work for artists.
Yeah, and we went way over time, but
the timers just keep going and going.
It's like
we're in the Matrix.
An extra 10 minutes. Let's go. But yeah, this was lovely.
Yeah,
and if the next speakers are ready, we will let them go, I think. If there are any more questions, of course.
Or we can start singing a song.
You can find us backstage. Yeah, by the way, if anyone wants to mint a Nifty Music drop, if you come and do it, you come talk to me, I will match your mint. So you buy one, you get one free. So just saying. So
Thank you.
Have a great day, everyone. I'll talk to you soon on Twitter, probably.
Okay.